Hello everyone, it's Lindsay and I am back with another faith planner process video. It's been a couple weeks, but I am finally diving back into my planner and I'm using this printable set from Illustrated Faith. This is the More Sunshine, Less Shadows set from Elaine Davis. And so I did go ahead and just print those all out on cardstock and then cut them out. And I did print a couple sheets of the printables. That way I had plenty of flowers to play with because I figure I'm going to do some Bible journaling also. So to begin, before I set anything down, I am going to add some color to the page using some antique linen distress oxide ink, and I'm blending it in with a mini ink blending tool. And I had already kind of staged where I wanted the printables, so I'm just laying this color down really lightly behind where all my little paper clusters are going to be. So you'll kind of better understand where that's being placed once I start sticking down all the printables. But I'm trying to be very light-handed just to kind of give a shadowy effect behind the clusters. Distress oxide inks definitely blend much smoother on paper like this than the regular distress inks. It looks a little blotchy right now, but as it dries, it kind of evens out. And most of this is going to be covered up. So if it's not perfect, don't worry. This is just kind of adding some interest. I am using some bigger clusters and things, and so I wanted to add some interest to the background, but still leave myself room to write out my daily verses. So I'm also taking a texture stamp from the Elements stamp set from Illustrated Faith. This is an all-time favorite stamp set of mine. It's been around for a while. I'll have all the products linked down below for you guys. It is still available. And I'm just going in and stamping that texture with that same antique linen distress oxide ink, and this just adds some more texture and interest in the background. Like I said, most of this gets covered up, but it kind of gives this fun tone on tone effect there. So this printable set comes with these little seed pockets. They are so cute. And what you're meant to do is fold along the dotted lines to create a pocket. So I am using my Fisker's trimmer and a bone folder to just score across those fold lines. You could also use a scoreboard or just go in there and fold it. My scoreboard has been discontinued, so I try not to show it in videos, but I will link one down below if you're interested in picking one of those up. And then you can just fold along those score marks and then use that bone folder to really get that crease nice and smooth. And before I adhere everything down, I'm going to do some distressing. So I saw Kristen from Plays with Scissors on Instagram. I will link her Instagram down below for you guys. She had used this set and kind of distressed these pieces with a sanding block. So I decided to do the same thing. I didn't love the effect I was getting with the sanding block. I don't know if it was just the particular grit I was using. So I pulled out a nail file and got a little bit better of an effect. I would say like an emery board, those reddish colored ones that tear up your nails, those might be good for this technique. That way it kind of scratches up the surface and gives it this antique look. This is not necessary. It's just an extra step that kind of gives this distressed antique feel to these pieces, which I am obsessed with. These flowers already kind of have that vintage feel to them. And so by just adding some distressing, just kind of jazzes up your die cuts and takes them to the next level, especially if they've just been printed on regular white cardstock. They can be a little plain looking. And so by taking these steps, kind of jazzes them up. So to distress them even more, I'm taking some frayed burlap distress oxide ink and just blending some of this to the edges of the die cuts. Now I kind of pop back in and out of frame. Sorry about that. I moved my tripod out this weekend, and when I put it back, I didn't quite get it in the right space. So I'm having a hard time staying in frame for this video, but I'm just going in and just adding a very light touch of color. It does not need to be super dark. I'm not wanting to cover up these printables. Just kind of give them that old vintage feel. And that kind of just helps them pop out from the white paper on the planner. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun. It was just fun to just play with some inks and get messy and do some distressing. So this printable set also comes with some journaling prompts and some other goodies. The prompts are awesome. I recommend you guys checking out this kit for sure. To cover up the pattern at the top of these pages, I'm using this pattern paper from the Carousel collection from Maggie Holmes, and you can see my pages are now out of my planner. I've showed that in past videos how I do that. Basically, all I do is just take a pair of scissors and make a little snip down the center of the coils into the holes of the page, and then I can just pull it out. I wouldn't just tear it out because you're going to have problems trying to get it back into your planner. By cutting those little slits, then I can pull it out and stick it back in, and I've had no problems with these pages falling back out. So I'm just trimming this pattern paper to fit and cover up that pattern at the top. But typically what I do is I just adhere it down and then trim off the extra, but I'm going to want to distress this paper also. So I did go ahead and measure out, the width and length of that area, and that way I could, cut these down ahead of time, and that way I could distress them before adding them to the planner page. So I am just going through and cutting those all down. It will cover up one of those holes, but we'll come back and fix that. Don't worry. And you can see now you can completely cover up that pattern, which is super cute, but it wasn't the colors that match with this printable. So now I'm taking that antique linen Distress Oxide ink and inking up the edges of this paper. You could also use the frayed burlap, but I was trying to kind of pull in more of that antique linen color, and I didn't want a super high contrast up here. I just wanted kind of a neutral pattern. And the pattern of this paper kind of matches some of the flourishes in the printable. So now I can just adhere that down with some adhesive. This Tombow adhesive is my absolute favorite. You see it in a lot of my videos. It's a dot adhesive, and so I found that I can sometimes kind of pull things up and reposition it if I need to, but then once it's been pushed down and sits for a second, it's permanent. And with that dot adhesive, you can kind of rub it off of any surfaces that you don't want it. So I'm taking a hole punch and re-punching that hole, and then I just re-snip into that hole. That way I can insert these back into my planner and it's all set to go. And now we can start kind of assembling things. So this particular journaling set is focusing on more versus less, more of God, less of me, less being selfish. There's like 6 different journaling prompts. It focuses on the verses John 3:30 through 36. And so a lot of these, you can see this more of him, less of me. All of these phrases kind of go along with that theme of the kit. So you can see here, I pulled a journaling card and I'm going to journal a little prayer on that. And I just love the set so much. I am going to go ahead and do some Bible journaling entries also. So that's kind of the nice thing about printables, is that once you've purchased the printable, you can print it as many times as you want. It is for personal use only, so you can't print these and take them to like a Bible journaling class and hand them out unless you buy the class license. So just heads up on that. But for your own personal use, you can print these over and over and over and over again. I've even pulled out printables from past years, especially with Revival Camp, and they're yours. They're on your computer. You can save them and just print them out as you need them. So you don't have to feel like you need to hoard products or not use it, because you can always get in there and reprint it. I do believe that there are some digital papers that match the set also. I didn't grab those, but you could use those in place of that Maggie Holmes paper at the top of this page. Like I said, I didn't purchase those, so I didn't have it to use for this, and here you can see I'm just creating a giant cluster. I am going to be leaving town. My sister and I are running in a color run at the Bay Area next weekend, or this upcoming weekend. And so I'm going to be gone basically Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I always cover up Sunday because I don't usually do scripture writing that day, but I know I'm not going to be scripture writing probably on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So I can use kind of a bigger cluster down here and cover up more of those lines because I am not going to be doing scripture writing those days. So now I can move on over to this pocket. And so what I'm doing is I'm just holding it in place and tucking things behind it before I adhere it down, because I'm going to adhere that with some really strong double-sided adhesive, and I won't be able to pull it back up. So I can just kind of use it as a placeholder, fill things in behind it. And like I said, I'm trying to leave myself plenty of room to write out scripture the rest of the week. And so here is some double-sided adhesive. I will link it down below. This is my favorite for inserting tip-ins and adhering pockets and things like that. It's very, very strong. The one I have is 1/8 inch, so it's super thin. And so I'm just going to go ahead and apply this to those flaps. Now, I discovered later on I probably should have put some tape perpendicular to these on the inside of the pocket, because this pocket is deeper than the height of that journaling card I have there. So the journaling card wants to kind of slip down and fall into the pocket. But in the final photos, what you'll see is I actually add a strip of colored paper behind the journaling card that keeps it from slipping down. So be sure to take a look at the last photo in this video, and it kind of shows a quick look at how I added that paper. But if I'd added adhesive in here, it would have made this pocket a little bit shallower, and then I wouldn't have had to do that. But oh well. Maybe I'll show that in a future video in my Bible journaling, how to do that. You can see here I'm realizing, nope, that journaling card's going to slip down in there, and I can't pull it up because that adhesive is super, super strong. But I wanted a little place that I could journal a prayer focused around the theme of this kit, and just have it right there in my planner for this week. And it's just kind of a little hidden journaling spot. And then I'm going to add this little grow piece at the top and layer it with a label. Those labels are so cute. I love that Elaine is adding those into the Print and Pray shop. She's got whole sheets of labels that you can purchase. And then you can see I can just pop this right back into my planner. Like I said, I've had no problems with these pages falling out. I do notice at this point that I should add some antique linen ink behind that grow cluster, because it's not tying in with everything else. So I do go in and just add a little bit of that ink. And like I said, this layout kind of looks a little sparse. It looks like you could add some more things, but the main purpose of these weekly planner spreads for me is to write out scripture. So I want to leave myself plenty of room to do that. And once I write all that out this week, it all kind of comes together. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box for links to all of the products mentioned today. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to click on that bell notification button so you don't miss any future videos. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.